Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another live stream. Today I'm talking about training your clients to respect you. So on today's episode, we are just going to talk about that. Training clients to respect you. And I want clients to respect our setup time needs, our pricing, our process, and all the other things that go into making a project. Hey, Mike's in the chat. So we've had a lot of dream clients. We've had a lot of average clients, and we've had some not so dreamy clients. So I want to talk about how we handle that, how we train our clients, and what we can do to attract more dream clients. So before I get too far, next week, I have a graphic for this. Next week, we're talking about the URSA Cine 12K I'm doing a live Q&A. I've gotten questions on YouTube. I've gotten, questions through different formats of people just having questions about the camera. And so I am going to do a live and go through those questions and things. I'll share the feed directly off the camera so we can look at camera and all that stuff. Anyway, that is coming next week. So stay tuned for that. But as far as this week, we are going to talk about training clients to respect you. So I'm going to talk about dream clients. I'm going to talk about how to train and attract them, talk about training them on pricing, training them on process, training them on setup time, etc. Real quick, before we jump into that, I do want to show you guys the new demo reel we just dropped, just because it's fun, and it gives a little context when we talk about clients and how do we work with clients and stuff, like what sort of clients are we talking about. So I'm actually going to just play our demo reel real quick. It's about a minute long, and then I'll come back and we'll jump into the actual content. So that is just some context on clients and kind of stuff as we're talking. So let's talk about dream clients. What are dream clients, and what does it mean to be a dream client? To me, dream client means they respect you, and of course that means they're going to have a decent budget, things like that. That goes into being a dream client, but just making a lot of money doesn't make someone a dream client. Giving you a lot of money, I should say, doesn't make them a dream client automatically. Because sometimes clients who give you a lot of money are nightmare clients. So being a dream client means they respect you. They respect your process, your pricing. They respect you by giving you feedback, and they respect you by giving you control in the project. So let's talk about what it means for clients to respect you and how you can train clients to do that. What's up, Fox? So when you want to talk about attracting dream clients, we have to think through some basic principles. If you want to have friends, be friendly, right? Like that is kind of the core to a lot of this, right? Be professional, be friendly, be the person who is a good partner to work with. If you're horrible to work with, you're not going to have dream clients. So make sure that stuff is sorted out. I'll just say that up front. Like, I'm assuming those things as we move forward. Also, you want to make sure that you set clear expectations with your clients up front. So when you're talking about pricing, you're talking about your process, all of these things, set clear expectations. And one of the ways you do that is by asking good questions. Asking good questions will help position you as a partner rather than a vendor. If they call and say, hey, I want a price for this, and you just go, oh, the price for that is this, you're a vendor. You're just providing something for a price. But when you ask them diagnostic questions and you go, that's great. So to help me give you a price, what are you trying to accomplish with this? Oh, we're trying to do this. Okay, great. And you just keep asking them questions to kind of understand, what are they trying to do? What are they trying to accomplish? What's important to them? What are their priorities? Because every client will have different priorities. Some clients are trying to save money. Some clients are trying to get it fast. Some clients are trying to get it good. Some clients want it fast and good and cheap. And you're like, pick two. But by giving those clear expectations, by asking good questions, you position yourself in their mind as a trusted partner, which is key to doing the other thing. So if they don't see you as a trusted partner, if they just see you as like, he's just another videographer. We've worked with lots of videographers. He's just another one. He's just a freelancer. He's just a guy with a camera. If that's how they see you, then they're not respecting you, and they're not going to value you, and they're not going to be a dream client. Not to say that, you have to be offering like top tier commercial work to have a dream client. You can be doing what I would call basic videographer level work and still have a dream client, but you have to be a partner in that work. So that is kind of the first piece. Be professional, set clear expectations, and ask good questions. Asking dumb questions does not help you be a trusted partner. Ask good questions. So now let's talk about pricing, right? How do you train them on pricing? Again, this starts with how you attract them, starts with your marketing, starts with your sales, your image, the work you put out, your professionalism. All of those things go into how do you attract someone and convey to them your value so that they see you again as that trusted partner who they can respect rather than just another guy with a camera or girl with a camera, right? So this all starts in your marketing and your sales. Assuming that we're talking about a new customer here, right? So what image do you put out in those marketing materials, on those platforms, on your website, on whatever these things are, right? And I'm going to steal Corporate JT's line. If you don't follow him on YouTube, you should. What are you doing without a website? If you don't have a website, like that's 101 business professionalism, go get a website. If all you're doing is like, hey, I have Instagram and I'm just getting work off of there, that's great and it'll work for a time. But when you're ready to move past, the $300 Instagram clients, then you're going to need to have a website. So plan for that. I know there's unicorns out there that could do it without that, but for the rest of us mortals, get a website, get it set up, get all the things on there, make sure people can find you on Google, that you have some SEO in place, all of that stuff. That's again, what I would just call basic professionalism. Have a logo, have a logoed shirt, all of these sorts of things elevate your professionalism and your image to a client. Now, I actually had a buddy say something really nice to me this morning. He was just like, hey, you really have, you've put out a good image and you just really are professional. You're on top of it and stuff. And I appreciated that. And I'm like, he's a buddy. So I'm like, yeah, thank you. I totally struggle with imposter syndrome. So it's nice to hear that. But those things matter, right? If you're trying to get dream clients, and Mike popped that in the chat, we're talking about dream clients. Yes, we're talking about dream clients. Any client will hire you cheap. And without any of those things that are elements of professionalism. But if you want the dream clients, you got to be professional. So the image you put out, the work you put out, the behind the scenes you put out, the way you talk, the way all of these things happen will affect how clients perceive you. And that is ultimately what we're after. What's your reputation? How do clients perceive you? And that is what's going to affect how you are perceived by the client, which ultimately helps them in their mind decide where to place you. Because, like it or not, everybody, I'll use the bad word, profiles, right? Pick whatever word you want. We look at people and we make fast judgments. You know, we read books by their cover. We look at people and we make assumptions. That's just what humans do, for good or for bad. I'm not talking about racial profiling or any of that kind of stuff. I'm talking about, you look at someone, they're well-dressed, they're articulate, they're, clean, cut or shaven or hair is done or makeup or whatever, they look nice. You can tell they spent more than 1 second looking at themselves in the morning, and they carry themselves with professionalism. You make assumptions about that person. Oh, they're professional. They're successful. They're something. You see somebody who's, dripping with diamonds and all of these things. You make assumptions. Oh, they must be rich. You see somebody who looks like they haven't taken a shower in 3 months and all their clothes have holes in them. And you make assumptions about that person, that maybe they live on the street, or maybe they are in a different socioeconomic class than maybe you want to be targeting at that moment. Whatever those things are, we make assumptions based on what we see. So think about, at some level, curating, and by curating, I do not mean lying, but curating the image you put out. Because if I wanted to attract Nike as a client, I wouldn't, period. Because look at me, I'm not the Nike type, right? They're not looking for, a short, pudgy, fat, white guy. Like that's not who they're, they look at me like, when was the last time you were in a gym? So I clearly don't know them. I don't know their audience. I'm not the kind of person who's going to work with them. So you need to think about, what are you attracting in the image that you put out? Not that you have to be your clients, not that you have to be their client avatar, not that you have to, do any of those things, but you just need to be aware of what you are putting out. And what kind of work are you putting out? If you want to attract high-end clients, you need to put out high-end work. This is, we all know this. If you want to attract high-quality commercials, you need to put out high-quality commercials, because no one, Nike's not going to come to some guy who has never put anything out of quality and be like, hey, let's give you a big budget and let you just try it on our money, on our dime. No, they're going to go to someone who's proven they can do something and then ask them to do what they've proven they can do. Not saying they don't give, small creators a chance, because Nike does things like that, but they're giving them a chance at something they've proven they can do. So prove that you can do it. Okay. We're trying to talk about pricing here. Confidence in pricing. This is a big one. Know your numbers, know your prices. And that's so important. It's so important that I have created a pricing calculator. Insert commercial here. I've created a pricing calculator that I use, that I've been using for years, over a decade I've been using this thing. And I have it for sale. I have another YouTube video all about that. If you're interested, go check that out. It's a pricing calculator that helps you calculate your prices when you need to make a quote for a client, and you put all your numbers in, and then you just say, hey, we need this, 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 and it makes the price automatically. And the numbers are solid because the math is there, right? Rather than just being like, ooh, what should I charge for this? And then you have to redo the math every time. And then you're like, oh, I forgot they're using an American Express to pay for this, and that's going to cost me some extra money, and I didn't plan for that. So it has all that stuff in there. Know your numbers and your prices, whatever that is, however you come up with that. Know your numbers and your prices, and be confident in them. And this is something that we can all struggle with at times, right? There's moments for all of us, no matter how confident we are with our prices, that sometimes we're just like, man, are they going to go for that? Are they going to pay that? I don't know. And that's where you give them multiple options. You go, hey, option one is, $50,000. Option two is $25,000. And option three is $10,000. And then we have this fourth option for $2,000, if that's kind of what you're looking for. You give them options. That's an absolutely ridiculous spread. You should probably never do a spread that large. But, something to that effect. Another thing about that is price anchoring. Establish your value early on. When clients contact us, we tend to say, Yeah, well, tend to. We have an automated email that goes out and basically says, hey, thanks for contacting us. We tend to, work with projects that are between like 5 and 25,000 for a typical project. But we can start as low as, 500 if you need something very simple and, whatever. The point is I'm anchoring, we're 5 to 25 grand for a typical project. And then if they're like, oh, my project's not typical, then they know, great, expect to be over that. Or if they're like, oh, I want better than typical, expect to be over that. If they're like, oh, they start at 5 grand, yikes. Then we're anchoring ourselves as we're this guy. So now when we talk to them and they go, well, I've only got, 2,000 and this, but I only need this, then I can go, oh, well, that 5,000 is for this, but you need that, and we can do that for 2,000. So great, we can help you. And they feel like, oh man, I've got a great deal with a good company because we've anchored ourselves here price-wise rather than anchoring ourselves here. You don't want to be like starting at $100 and because then you're price anchoring yourself. And then clients who are looking, dream clients who are looking to spend more money are like, yeah, I'm not even talking to you. If you started at $100, like you're the wrong person. So that's something important. Always anchor high, not astronomical, but high. Okay. The next thing right after that high anchor is don't cave early. Don't just backpedal on your pricing. When you say, hey, a typical project ranges 5 to 25 grand, and they go, oh, don't go, well, I mean, I can get you a discount. Like, don't play games with your numbers like that. If they go, whoa, then you go, well, tell me what you need. And maybe we can customize something for you that will be within your budget. And what is your budget, right? And you are putting on them, hey, I'm up here, but I can help. I can come down here and help you. So, because we're attracting dream clients. The dream clients are not going to be way down here. So the dream clients are going to be up here and up here. Also, explain why the price benefits the client. At the end of the day, people are exchanging money for something, right? When you go to the store and you buy a basic pair of shoes, what are you buying? When you go to the store and you buy a fancy pair of shoes, what are you buying? They're both shoes. You can walk on both of them. One is fancy, one is basic. One says, I went to Payless and got the basic shoes. One says, I'm wearing, pick a fancy name, Badly Mishka shoes or something. I obviously don't wear those. But pick, you have to understand your value. You have to understand that you have to value it and the client has to value it, because that higher end brand, like if you pick a car, right? You luxury car and you got like a used beater Honda, right? They each have a value to the person who's buying them, right? This person says, I just need a vehicle that would get me from point A to point B. I don't care what it looks or sounds like. I just need to drive and I just need it to not break down. And then this person has a whole different set of needs. So when you're talking to dream clients, you're typically talking to that upper half of the spectrum. So make sure that you're explaining the value to them, but also people who have lots of money are not idiots. And they're not looking to just throw it at people who go, oh, I charge a lot of money. Okay, great. You're the one for me. Like, well, why is that good for me? The reason they have money is usually because they were smart enough to get it. And that means they're not dumb enough to spend it on someone who has no idea what the heck they're doing. So you have to explain why the cost benefits the client. Okay. That's confidence in pricing. So the other thing too is just talk pricing early on. If you wait and at the very last second when they squeeze you 3 times, then squeak out a price, that communicates that you don't value yourself. Set the stage, talk about pricing early, and control the conversation. You're trying to talk to a dream client. You're trying to position yourself. You're trying to create value in their mind. You're not afraid of the number, right? They might be afraid of the number, but you're not. And if they know that you're afraid of the number, that knocks down their confidence in you. So the other thing about working with dream clients and training them in this is selling the outcome, not the pixels, right? Clients want an outcome. They don't want specs. They don't want a certain resolution. They don't want RAW. They don't want 4K. They don't want pick a thing. They don't care if it's 10 bits. They don't care about any of these things that we as filmmakers care about. They care, will this help my business accomplish X goal? So it's all about what is the business trying to accomplish and how can you help them achieve it with the video that you're going to produce for them. Okay, that's pricing. I'm not trying to make a whole pricing video here, but that is part of this whole thing. So I just wanted to go over that. Now let's talk about training them in the process. That is another major piece of this. So even just saying you have a process helps you move up a notch. Now you have to back it up. Like you can't just be like, we have a process. What is it? Like that doesn't help. But you have to communicate to them you have a process. If you have a process, but you never say it, then they don't know you have a process. And therefore you don't have a process in their mind. No matter how organized you might be in real life, to them, you're just another knucklehead with a camera. So you have to communicate that you have a process. Just going to say hello to everyone who's joined on the stream. Thank you. I know you haven't all popped in on the chat, but I can see you guys are watching. So thanks for being here. I will take questions at the end. Obviously, throw them in the chat whenever, and we'll get to those. Okay, so you have a process. When you say you have a process, that helps them elevate you above the guy who doesn't say he has a process. And so that's one notch. You got to prove it. You got to have it. But even just saying it helps. When it comes to that process, you need to push for what you need. And you need to explain what you need. But not just say, well, I need this. Okay, any diva can say I need this. But what's the diva going to do for me? What's the diva going to do for my business? Why am I hiring a rock star to sing at my thing? Because it's going to do something for me. What's it going to do for me? So you have to explain to them why what you need equals their success. So when you're in this conversation with a new client or maybe an existing client, because the other part of this conversation is how do we train existing clients, right? Like what I've been talking about before has primarily been like, how do you attract dream clients in the first place? But maybe you have a client, what I would call like a legacy client, someone you already have who you want to turn into a dream client. And we have done this many times over the years. We've had clients who've been with us for a long time and we charged them this much and we gave them this much. And as we started raising what we give them, we had to raise what we charge and do this dance. And it's like, we've basically doubled our prices with some of our clients, over time. And so you have to think about how do you explain to them why it's worth double than what they used to pay, because now they're getting X. Before they were getting Y. But that's nice. I don't need it in 4K. I don't need it twice as long. I don't need you to bring a bunch of cool lights. I don't need your fancy new camera. None of those things matter to me. And they're right. Those things do not matter to them. What matters to them is how that helps them achieve their goals. So that's where you, again, have to be that trusted partner. You have to be strategic and you have to understand their goals. What are they trying to accomplish? Because when they tell you the goal, you just reverse engineer that. And that's what you do. That's how you help them solve for the problem. Basic math that we all learn in school. It's like, here's some formula, solve for X. Great. That's what we're trying to do. Well, if this and this and this, then what we need is this. That will solve the problem. And so that's the same formula that you are doing when you create videos for your clients. You are understanding what they need, helping them, say, this is what you need. This is your goal. Here's how we will help you accomplish it. And in order to do that, we need to do this. So by doing that, you're explaining to them that when you say, I need X amount of minutes to set up lighting for this interview, they don't go, what? You've never set up lighting before? Why? That's just a waste of time. We got to go. We got to go. Wait, we got to go fast. So we had a client, and what I used to do for them was roll around with a camera and a gimbal, basically. Sometimes there'd be a tripod or a monopod, but I had one Pelican case. It's kind of what I call the wedding kit. It's like I have one camera, one gimbal, one microphone, and like a tripod. And we would just roll very, very, very quickly through a lot of locations, film a lot of quick interviews, a lot of quick B-roll. Nothing was lit. Nothing was controlled. Everything was just as it was. I mean, it was basically broadcast, like local broadcast news, not ESPN. It was very, very basic. It's what I call a videographer package. It means I'm just going to show up with a camera and a gimbal. I'm going to catch things, whatever it is, as it is. I'm not here to make it better. I'm here to just capture it. Like, sure, I will do the best I can in the situation, but it's not like I'm going to pull out some tool and change the situation. So we worked that way with this client for years. And as things went on, as my production company grew, as our quality of work got better, as our tools improved, as my team grew, we started changing what we would do with them. And, with an existing client like that, sometimes you have to just straight up give them a free upgrade and show them what the difference is. And that's what we had to do with this client. It's like, this is what we've been doing. And now we go, hey, I am going to bring an extra guy out. We're going to bring some extra equipment out, and we are going to show you what we can do. And we do that using the same breakneck schedule that we've been using before, because a big ship turns slowly and you can only do incremental changes. So incremental changes is key if you are trying to train an existing client in your process. You can't just immediately jump to the next thing in many cases, because you have an established workflow, an established way of doing things, and you have to make change. So we basically, over the course of like 2 years, maybe 3 years, 2 to 3 years, we transitioned this client from this absolute run and gun videographer style to a proper production. And now we're bringing the grip truck, we're bringing the cart out, we're bringing lights, we're doing everything proper. Now, we're still going fast, but we're not going anywhere near the speed we used to go. And they understand now, great, we need 15 minutes to set up. We need this to make this good, because we've moved the line. We've raised the price quite a bit, and we've moved the line, and we've moved the end result, the end quality of the production. And they're happy because we brought them through that journey, instead of just being like, hey, next week our price is double and the whole process is different. It's just like, whoa, okay, we can't handle that. So you have to explain, and we did through this whole process, how it makes it better. We go out the first time and we do some lighting, and they're like, wow, that looks way better. And we're like, yes. And it would look much better if we actually had time to light it, instead of just throw one fast light up super quick and just go. Hey, when we have time to diffuse the sun, that's better. Now, if we had time to actually set up stands and put up, a diffusion and a this, and now it would look even better. And you just move them along. But the whole point in that is, you have to explain how the changes you're making and the upgrades and improvements you're making help enhance their success. Because now it's not just your video will be better. Okay. Your video will be more attractive to your clients. Your video will convert better, and more people will finish the video, more people will understand the video, and the video makes a better impression, and that will lead to increased sales, increased signups, increased whatever. Oh, okay. Now I can add a measurable thing to this increase. So your needs equal their success. Now, what happens when you get pushback on this? When they say, well, you need less things. That is a sign that you do not have respect. And so that means you have to build respect. And so you have to redirect to the scope and the goals that they have. And you have to build that bridge with them. And if you go, hey, we need 30 minutes to set up lighting for each of these things, or in our case, hey, we need 45 minutes to set up proper lighting, plus we need 30 minutes to bring all this junk upstairs because you don't have an elevator. When we say, hey, we need an hour 15 setup time to get ready for your interview, there can be pushback on that. And they can be like, why do you need so long? And so then you have to help them understand. And if they go, oh, that makes sense, great, then you have respect. But if they're like, yeah, that's a no. Like, we're not paying you for that. Then you have to redirect back to the project goals and the project scope. And this is where, from a strategic point of view, you have to make sure you understand their project and their scope and their goals correctly. Because it might be that you want to make this cinematic masterpiece and they're like, can we just get some basic content for social media? And you're overshooting their goal and their scope, therefore creating a problem. And then you go, you know what? I missed the mark on your goals and your scope. Based on your goals and your scope, here's what we should actually do. And I'm only going to need 5 minutes to set up for that because I'm not going to set up any lighting because that's actually what you guys need. Great. That's a win. Or if you go, well, look, you guys are trying to make a commercial to play at the Super Bowl, and this actually needs to look good because if it doesn't, you've wasted not only the money you've spent on production, but you've wasted the thousands and thousands of dollars you've spent on ad placement. I'm talking local. I'm not talking like if you're talking to a local client who wants to get on their local news segment on the Super Bowl, you're wasting a lot more money than the production money. And so this extra couple thousand for production is actually going to make your thousands you're spending on ad placement actually move the needle for you. Oh, okay, great. That makes sense. So you redirect to the scope and the goals. Okay. Having clarity on your client's goals is golden. That is what you need. You need to make sure you understand what they're trying to accomplish because that drives your process. It drives your pricing. It drives the outcomes. It drives the videos you're going to make. Like, knowing what they're trying to accomplish is the gold nugget. And for a long time, I did not understand that. A long time. And I just wanted to make videos that were pretty. And pretty videos are great, but pretty videos are not necessarily effective. So you need to be clear on what your client's trying to accomplish because that clarity is what will drive all the other decisions that go into the project. So with that understood, when you know what their goal is, you understand with clarity and you and them have clarity between each other, then you can go, well, we need X to accomplish Y. Because your goal is X, we need to do Y so that we can get to the result of Z, which is helping you accomplish your goal. And when they have pushback, you just say, look, if we can't get to X, then we cannot accomplish Y, which will not help us do Z. And therefore, we're wasting all of our time and money because we're not doing what needs to be done to hit your end result goal. And when you can frame it for them that way, usually they go, oh, that makes sense. And they might still go, it seems excessive. Can we scale it back? And then you can have a conversation with them where you just go, well, it might seem excessive, but when you think about it's not excessive. Actually, we're doing this kind of like the low budget way compared to what we could be doing. We could do this, but we're doing this. The other option, if you want to be cheap, would be to do this, but that's not going to help you accomplish this goal. And then they have options on the table. They can weigh them and they can go, you know what? You are totally correct. This is why you're an expert. This is why we hired you. You're so good at this. We're going to go with your suggestion because they understand that you are the expert. You want to have expert status in your client's eyes. If your clients see you as they are the expert in your field and they're just hiring you to do something, then it's like, okay, you don't have respect. You don't have that respect. Your clients need to look at you as someone they can ask questions. That is when you know you are the expert. So setup time is a great example. Well, if you want to make 10 videos, and if you want all of them to have a different location, and if you want them all to look good, then here's the schedule. We need this much time to do these things. If you want to change that and say, let's do all 10 videos in one location, well, that changes everything entirely. And now we can have this much setup time and this much actual on-camera filming time and crank out your 10 videos in 2 hours instead of in 2 days. So what would you like to do? I think based on what you're doing, one location is just fine. Or, let's do one location, but let's do 3 wardrobe changes. Or we'll do one location, but after 5 videos, we'll spin the world and just film the other direction, which is a quick lighting change. We're just going to reposition a few things, but we don't have to completely break everything down, move it to a new location, set it up again. You help them come up with solutions, problem solving. Wow, imagine that. That is huge. That is huge. And so that's how you push for setup time. That's how you push for budget. That's how you push for respect in the process. And all of these things is those sorts of conversations with your customers. So let's also talk about feedback, right? Because good clients will give you feedback. Now, there's a version of a dream client that every time you send something to them, they just say, that's amazing, approved, done. And there's no revisions. And that's fantastic. But if that happens every single time, forever and ever and ever and ever, then that begs a question, which is, do they really like it? Do they have any idea what they're doing? Do they just trust you so implicitly that they just think you can do no wrong? So then how do you preserve that? There's a lot of things that go into that. Or is this a sign that they don't actually value what you're producing? And they're just like, whatever, it's fine. Who cares? So, or is it a sign that you're just so amazing, so good that you actually nail it perfectly every time? So you have to understand, what does that mean? But when a client gives you good feedback, that is gold. And asking clients for feedback, not just on the video, but on the process, is also golden. You can be like, hey, how was it, working with us on this project? And then they'll tell you. And if they don't give you any problems, you can ask them. You can be like, hey, what about this went really well and what can we do better? Never ask just the negative. Never be like, hey, what did we screw up most on this project? Period. Be like, hey, what went really well and what can we do better? And if they give you that feedback, listen and learn, because they're giving you the best education you could ever get when your real clients tell you what you can really do different. Okay. The last thing that a good client gives you is control. And just real quick, back to feedback. You do have to train clients on feedback. That's kind of the point of this whole thing, is training your clients. So for example, we, now we're using Frame.io. We used to use Vimeo review pages, which is the same idea as Frame.io. But we use a review platform. We send a video to a client and tell them, hey, leave notes here. Because how many times do clients just send you a bunch of random emails and then 5 different people who you didn't even know were part of this project send you an email, hey, change this. What? So we do our best, we do our best to control the feedback and control versioning of the feedback. And we establish deadlines and timelines with feedback. So we say, hey, here is the feedback link. Have everyone who needs to view it, send this around. Whoever needs to view it, view this thing. Give us feedback by this date. This feedback session closes on this date. And then we pretty much hold to that date. Sure, if someone is like, hey, I was out of town, I couldn't watch it, I need the CEO has to watch it, the next day, great, But generally speaking, you hold to the date and you say, hey, you have 5 days. So when we send things out, we say, here's the link. You have 5 days to review it and get back to us. If we don't hear anything from you in 5 days, we will assume the video is approved and delivered. In other words, you have 5 days. If you don't say anything, we're marking your project as complete. Not, it's been 3 weeks. They haven't gotten back to me. I don't know if they like it. I don't know what's going on. No, just you get back to us by this date, period. And then when we send the next round, same thing. You have 5 days on this round, for however many rounds of feedback a project has. 1 or 2 is typical. Some projects have more. Control the feedback, control how the feedback process goes, and be very clear. Don't send us emails with notes. Use the review platform to leave your notes. The notes are time-coded. The notes correspond to things that can be done. We can address them. We can check them off right there in the platform, etc. So control the feedback. That's very good. And then just control over the project in general. Some clients are like, I trust you. And you ask them questions, they give you answers, and they just say, I trust you, do what you need to do. And those are the best kind of clients. But then there's another version of I trust you, you're the professional, that's actually a bad client. When you ask them a question, they go, I don't know, you're the professional. You're like, well, what are you trying to accomplish? I don't know, you're the professional. What should I do? Okay, you need to make some decisions so that I have something to go off of, because if you just tell me you're the professional, every time I ask you a question, what you're doing is you're throwing all the responsibility on me. You're not giving me the information I need. And then when this doesn't go the way you want, you're going to blame it on me, because you're going to be like, well, you were the professional. You should have known. Like, I asked you 5 different questions. I never got a single answer. So that's not my fault. That's yours. But you can't just tell a client it's your fault. So control is a good thing, but asking good questions, back to what we said earlier, ask good questions, clarifying questions is very important. So when a client gives you control, when they give you respect, when they will pay your price, when they will give you the setup time and respect your process, that is a winning client. Hopefully I helped you in training, understanding how to train that kind of a client. Are there any questions in the chat? So that is really it for this. How do you teach your clients to respect you and how to train them to give you that respect? It takes time. You have to build trust. You have to ask good questions, and you have to show them, you have to prove that you are someone they can trust as a partner in getting these things done. So while I'm waiting to see if any questions come in, I'm just going to go back and remind everybody. Next week, we are talking about the URSA Cine 12K LF. I'm doing a live Q&A next week. I have questions that have already come in on the channel, on comments, on videos and things that I'll be addressing. And then I'll also go over live any other questions that come up, anything that you guys want to know, whatever burning questions you guys have about this camera. I will be there for all of that. So let me know. And if you have questions you want to send ahead of time, that's fine too. You can comment on this video or contact me through one of the various social platforms or the website or whatever. Okay. I appreciate all of you coming for this live stream and learning a little bit, hopefully learning. Was this helpful? I hope it was helpful. These are things that I've learned over all of the over 20 years I have been working with clients. And, you know, it really is work to train clients how to work with you. And most clients need training. Most of them do. And if you have a pre-trained client that comes to you, hold on to them for dear life and do whatever it takes to keep that client, not whatever it takes, but you know what I mean. If you've got a great client, then make sure you take care of them and make sure that they want to stay with you and do the things that you need to do to make them want to stay with you. Because you don't want to lose a client like that. Because great clients, dream clients, are a little harder to come by. And so when you find one, you know, take care of them. Okay, that does it for this week's episode, and I am going to go ahead and cut this thing off because it's that time. So if you stuck around this long, thank you. Appreciate all of you who tuned in and said hi in the chat and all that good stuff. We are going to what is that? Hold them hostage. Mike. Mike said, I got my guns. I'm going to hold that client hostage. We're going to keep him right here. And then when you let him out of the van and the candy wears off, they're going to be like, why did you kidnap me? So yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Alrighty. I appreciate you all. Thanks for tuning in, and train your clients and keep them. After you train them, keep them. Train them to stay like a good... I'm not going to say train your clients like a good dog. That's horrible. But train your clients. Stay. What is this? Sit. No. You got to remember that clients are the ones who keep your lights on. Clients are the ones who pay your mortgage. Clients are the ones who help you buy cameras and gear. All of that is important. And you need to keep those clients. Keep them. Keep them. What's up, Kadeem? Thanks for dropping in. And yes, keep those good clients. Do what you can to keep them. I've never been a huge like gift giver. Like that's just not one of my love languages. Like I could care less about gifts. And so it's not something I think about, but every now and again I remember like, oh, maybe we should do something for this client. You know, so that's something to always think about, you know, with clients. So nobody go start giving gifts to my clients, because then Mike will hunt you down and he will hold you hostage. Oh man. Well, there it is. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up because there's no point in me just continuing to talk. I don't even know if anyone's still... you guys are still here. You're still watching. I'm looking like you're still actually here and watching. I'm just rambling at this point. So not sure why you are watching. I'm just waiting for you guys to leave. Because that's like, why would you stay? Why would you stay? I know why you're staying. Because I'm so good looking. That's why you're here. Because you wanted to tune in and just look at my nice shiny bald head and be like, you know, one day when I grow up, I want my hair to look like Josh's hair. That's the real reason that you're here. You want this hair. I don't think anybody is here for that. Nobody is here for that. Alrighty. Thank you guys. And let's see. Next week, talking about the URSA live stream. We already talked about that. So go ahead and do that. And the demo reel I played at the beginning. And I did start a separate YouTube channel for our client work. So I'll probably talk more about that and link that separately at some point. But like our demo reel is posted over there instead of here on the channel that's more about behind the scenes. So kind of trying to separate out, you know, the channel that's designed for clients and the channel that's designed for other filmmakers. So this is all for you guys, my fellow filmmakers. And I'm trying I'm not dropping all my client videos on this channel and confusing the algorithm. So anyway, if you're not running your YouTube channel, go start it, go do it, make content, make videos. You can do it. That's it. Have a great rest of your day, guys. And we will see you all on the next one.